Says I'm live. All right, guys. Check. See how this goes. Again, let me know if you guys are out there. All right. Running around and stuff rearranged in my shop here, guys, for this one. So trying to make sure everything is set. All right. Nice. Probably some guys, let people pop in here. We'll just like I said, we're gonna go over XCS mostly. Like I said, it kind of a lot of people I know like Tool's been out a lot of my lives for me. I appreciate them. Keep popping on there. I excited. Hope you'll learn something. Tool, do you just got the P2 or do you have an F1? So, like I said, tonight's is gonna be mostly F1 stuff. Uh, Obviously, we have some questions on the other stuff. We can go over them for sure. We'll probably do more later on in the live. So, but I'm here to answer your guys' XCS questions. We'll go over whatever. So, we do have both the F1 and the F1 Ultra. So, I gotta quit watching YouTube. It drives me nuts. Can't watch that one. All right. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna touch base on a little bit of everything, guys. So, um, hopefully we'll be able to. Some people asked about uh, setting up the tumblers. We'll kind of go over that a little bit. You can do it over both F1 and the F1 Ultra. Uh, I do the RA2 Pro, so it does have the tilt, which I highly recommend. If you guys don't have it, go get it. It's makes life 10 times easier when doing tumblers on the F1 or the F1 Ultra. So, or S1 or P2. So, all of them. If you guys got questions, go ahead and throw them in the chats. Kind of we'll go through the stuff. We're gonna hop into XCS here shortly. Again, I'm still trying to get myself my bearings here. Let's see. Gold, I have not done any black granite, but I might have some sitting down there, and we can throw it on the light on one of the lasers and find out. So. Get some files open for you guys. Again, you got questions. And I know, like I said, I've seen a lot of people do the black granite on an S1 and on the P2. So, it really should be, even with a diode laser, you should be able to do the black granite. It's kind of in that same stone family. It's just getting the settings set right for get your white lines. For the people that haven't dove into the ultra world, there's definitely some benefits. A nice another camera behind me. Oh. Gotta get it from Blake, guys. Great Lakes Laser Supply. There, right there. So. So yeah, I'm sorry guys. I'm reading the notes too. So like I said, I do have my wife over kind of popping up telling me what questions to read. So I'm gonna switch over to cameras here. I want you to show you some of the stuff we've done on the Ultra. as I find the right one to do that with. I know. If you guys haven't been in my lives, I kind of bounce around. I do a little bit of here, a little bit there, especially now doing the two, trying to focus more on one laser. We're gonna, like I said, we'll hop in XCS. We'll go over the basics. My look at this when I do these lives is more Q&A, but then also, uh, but I go more kind of like your first time using the laser kind of thing. So I kind of go over little bits and tips on XCS, that kind of stuff. And then we dive into the questions. And then, like I said, we have some Tumbler questions. So we'll go over that. So I don't know if Jerry's picking on my lines or not. I don't know. But so here's a few things we have worked on. Switch here, a new little camera here. So there's a few things that we worked on. So obviously that's a zinc coin, a slate coaster, and then this was actually, I did this on the embossments. So stuff like this. I mean, this is what the Ultra is, you know, cool stuff we can do. So one reason why we got this guy. So, but all right, let's enough show and tell. Hop into XCS. So, let's see. Never ran a computer before. Sure. Sure. There. Someday I'm gonna get smoother at this, guys. I swear. So I make sure I'm looking at you, so I'm moving my stuff around here. All righty. Okay, in the create space. All right, I like keeping you guys around so I can see what you guys are talking about. See if you're making fun of me or not. Please do. I like it. I don't mind it. That's what I'm here for. I'm not a whooping boy. But all right, XCS. It's I love the program. That's why I do these things for people that new lasers. I do this for P2s, S1s, F1. I haven't had to do one for D1 yet, but guys, my chair is not cooperating with me. I'm gonna get a new one. So again, I'm going to the basis that this is your first time around getting into XCS, learning the stuff. We'll go over some tips and tricks, but obviously your basics, your import. This is 2.1 to 2.4.27. So this has all the new updates. I do like hotkeys. I'm a big hotkey guy. So thank you, Tool. Yes, hit the like button, share, subscribe. I'm gonna be corny. I don't ever say that in any of my lives, but please do. It really does help me out. I'm gonna try to do a lot more of these, a little more frequently. I'm kind of sporadic. Again, I'm silly because I always do them like the day before a show. So we have a show not tomorrow, but Saturday this week. So, anyways, XCS. I feel like I'm repeating myself, so it's hard for me to do the same things over and over, guys. So, again, but we're just gonna go through the gist of stuff. Obviously, this is your import only PNG, SVG, DXF, JPEG files. Click there. Don't try to open an XCS file. Did that for the first, few times. Wonder all my stuff went. That's what happens. Text. There's some cool new stuff. If you guys haven't update, I'm a big advocate. All right, I can go with that, Jerry. Big advocate for staying up to date. So I am wholeheartedly. I'm the guy that'll be the first one to run out there and find the newest update. So if I hopefully I'm in the beta. So but text, there's some stuff we'll show on the text here when it comes up. So there'll be some tips in there. We'll go over that here in a second. Pen tool. Again, there's a lot of new stuff with this. It's about 5 different ways to get to the pen tool, different tips, again, tips and techniques. I'm good. And I know a lot of people want to complain about, some connection issues. There is some things where maybe you have to turn it on and off on your laser a little bit. I've noticed it more in the P2s than the F1s. So F1s I have not had an issue connecting at all. So, but I am a big we'll get to connecting here. I haven't connected mine yet. So obviously your pen tool, your shapes, this is your whole library. So again, these are all, there's stuff inside of every single one of these. It's very handy. Your embossments, like I said, play with your laser, man. Go and do stuff. Don't just hop on the chat rooms and ask for settings. Use it, play with it. All else fails, start fast, low power. That's why I always tell people. You'd rather be light on something than burning a hole through everything. Again, on one of the chats earlier today, I told somebody they complained about burning into their bed. Obviously, only when I showed my thing there, I don't think there's a person that hasn't burned something into their F1 bed at least once. So if you didn't, you will, guarantee it. So, but all these, again, shapes you can use. We'll play with some of them here in a little bit. Some other things that they've added. So we'll go over, grid array. Again, things we'll go over here. These are all under what's called applications. We'll go over some batch fill for the Ultra. And then the measurement tool is another one that they just added in 2.4. So, which I do, it's handy. It's one of those things where everybody's like, oh, how big is that block? There's other ways to measure too, which I can show you that. We'll show you those too. And then I think this is design find is what this is. So if you want to go through and find a project, and then obviously the AI, if you do want to turn a photo or something into an embossment, this will let you take a photo, import a photo in, and then let you emboss it. So these are some of them. Actually, that's the one I did for the slate coaster I showed you guys. So some of them are just playing. You do take points, and this is where the points. So it might ask, this is where, so when you buy your laser, you get points. This is where they use the points, or you can go into the store and use them for gift cards for stuff like that. So I know people have asked, what do we get the points for? What are they for? It's for this kind of stuff. If you ever want to close this screen, the little tab right here, you can close it. Going across the top, obviously, is your save button. This is to save it to your space, my space. I'll go back. So you'll go back to the home screen here. So in your home screen, you have a MySpace. So the MySpace is where you can save if you're not using like a Dropbox or a OneDrive or anything like that. This is kind of like their version of it. So you are limited. If you delete it, you'll get more space back. It just goes up to 50 megabytes. But if you are using a phone or a tablet, this is a way to go from one to the other, is storing it in here. And it's just either upload it to the computer or upload from the computer. So that's what that is for. Obviously, your recents. Like I said, I probably won't go too in depth. I've done enough of these videos if somebody wants to go back and see the little things like that. Obviously your canvases. If you want to add more, you can add up to 10 canvases. You can rename them too. I usually use these for shows. So each canvas will be something. I should start using them for my lives. but I don't think ahead. So, but we will definitely go over. That is one of my favorite tips, David. So we will definitely go over that here. Where it's when we get over to this side of the screen. I'm gonna go through settings. So there's they've added different places to like access stuff too now. So um you can obviously export as SVG, import SVGs, which is great. It's very handy. Um you even got your like arrangements. There's all kinds of stuff. Like I said, they you have them here. Obviously, all your edit. You know, if you want to go this route, you can. You can see how these have hotkeys on them too. Obviously, I don't have nothing on the screen. That's why that thing's grayed out. Text, view. You can actually make your grids lighter and darker. Again, some of that is to your scale of your display. So if you don't like the darker lines, then you can lighten them up. There, obviously help, user guide, and then settings. There's a couple settings I always recommend to people. Canvas is not like a layer. A canvas is like another piece of paper. It's a whole new canvas, basically, but it's within that file. So you got to be careful when you do this because you can lose stuff. Because we did that early on. We'll try to do like earrings in one and just do a bunch, but it's you lose the different types. You want to kind of keep them all the same. I use these for like my layered maps. I use my layers for that. And like I said, show stuff. I have an F1 show. When I go to the shows, you know, one will be hat clips, one will be wallets, one will be, you know, it just makes it easier to fly through that stuff. So the settings on the left hand side that I'm in right now, this is your XCS settings, and then we'll go over laser settings on the other side. So this is all XCS. So if you want to go, if you don't like millimeters, inches, Control K, or you can select it here. Control K is your hotkey or Command. I'm not a Mac guy, guys, so bear with me. Layers. Canvas is still not a new project, so you can. I'll show you that. We'll go over that here in a second. So you can still could do more projects too. So technically, you could have 60 projects open if you wanted to. I hope your computer likes you. Um, but yeah, millimeters, inches, Control K will switch it on the fly. How's this? I always tell people to have both these selected. It just helps grabbing that little line you're trying to grab. It just helps separate it. You do have to restart your laser if you do select this one. If you want to see the full list of hotkeys, you can click it here. It won't show up because the way I have my shares set up. So, this one I haven't really had an issue. If you have a file that's really giving you fits, usually between optimal and high is where I stay. So if it's not giving me fits, I keep it at high, but it doesn't really matter. I don't do a lot of large files. So this is one I always tell people, keep it size. I highly recommend to do this one because again, I've seen a lot of people, one person asked about kerf, and we'll go over that too later. But when you bring an imported file in that has, you know, tug and grooves boxes, you know, the locked the other boxes, you want to make sure you don't lose the relationship of those sizes. And sometimes when you bring it in, say, hey, make it fit my size. There's either ask me over time or auto scale. The auto scales, it messes those up. You're out of luck. So I always tell people to keep it size. The parsing, this is here, we don't really use DXF files anymore. So the benefit of DXF files before 2.0 was it used to bring in files that would, when people made files on, say, Etsy or wherever you picked your files up, it would let you grab everything, make it more editable. But now, I don't use them too much. I do a little bit because I do have a CAD background, so I do download some files, but so I don't mess with that too much. Log info, we don't do that. This here, if you do have settings, and we'll go over how that, there's actually two ways to do it now, to do your custom settings, but this is how it can export or back up your settings, is here. So you just export, save it, file, you know where you're saving it at. if something happens, you can always import them back in. And there's another way you can actually save them to the cloud also. So, and then this is another one that happened. They added in 2.4 is the clear cache, and it's weird. They'll show you how to do it, but again, if you have an issue with this stuff not connecting or being slow, I'd recommend doing that. And they'll tell you how to do it, but you actually got to be out of the file. I can show you later here. And obviously updates. And then the one other thing that people don't notice is there is a download for this. Again, it doesn't affect people on the F1, so you don't have to download it. All you have is an F1. If you have an S1 or a P2S, I think it's just the F1, the S1 and P2S is this algorithm package. Actually, I think P2, both P2 and P2S do it now. It does make things run faster. It does shuck your laser pretty good, so make sure you're on a nice sturdy table. That's what this is for, and it's something you just download. Again, it'll ask you, and then there's another setting in your laser you have to turn on once you download this update. So that's kind of your run through for your XCS stuff. Processing, obviously. So you have quite a few more options when you're using the F1ultra. Someday they might get rid of this one. I highly recommend using rotary over. I mean, the only time this is beneficial is if you're using a large project that you just can't chuck up. This is where the rollers would come in handy. But yeah, I number 95% use rotary. Same design batch. This might be another whole class on its own. Maybe go over these two things on another separate note. Conveyor, obviously, just this will let you do 19 inches using the conveyor. So you can do 19 inches by 8.5 inches wide. Obviously the curved, and then embossments. So, and then Barefoot, you asked about new files. So every time I hit the plus button here, now I can open a new file. Opens a brand new file, or you can go to file open. So you want to open up a I'm looking for an XCS file, and I'm not in the XCS folder. That's what happens. That's where you get, whoa, I lost all my stuff. It's not what happened. I'll do this one. Oh, that's gonna be bad. It's gonna be for a P2. So obviously you can open it up, and then you can have P2, F1, F1ultra, S1. You can open up 6 different files, and they can be all connected to the F1ultra if you wanted to. So that doesn't really matter. So that's what all this stuff is for. Again, working over the P2, so I go back to the Ultra here. So obviously going back over, there is auto measure. I don't use auto measure. Takes longer. I'm over just line the dots up. I know a guy that I was helping out. He's like, I can't see well, so he uses it quite a bit because he just can't see the dots real well. So beneficial for that. Obviously camera resets. That's your refresh. So we're gonna connect our laser so I can get to the rest of the stuff. I always go through connect devices, just easier. As long as it pops up, click on it, it'll auto turn green. Everything shows up. You can see my safety showed up. So now that we're in here, so these other few things I want to show real quick up here. I'm gonna refresh the camera here. You can see what's on my bed. Keep forgetting there's a camera. I always forget. So this is the other thing I do notice with the F1ultra. The first time you hit your camera, it's usually darker. So usually if you hit it the second time, it does refresh brighter. And I actually have it turned down because when I do batching, I just did a bunch of batching for my wife for some earring cards, and we did some business cards. Usually I got to turn the brightness down to about 20 to 30%. It doesn't like really, really bright stuff. So Just let you guys know, and I can show you how we do it in here. But we're gonna go across the top here. So this here is actually another settings for XCS. So there's actually two spots to get to it. So that'll open up settings also. And that's always there, even if you're not on a file. So you guys know. And then this is all your just your informational stuff, just notes, like I said. For people that are hopping on, I'm just kind of going through this for like if you're a first time user using XCS, kind of how I run this one. And then we'll go through questions if you guys want to know how to do something, how to line something up, how something does something. You know, you ask me any question, I want to say I can answer it. If I can't, I will find out and get back to you. So, but this is just your information. It's what's going on. It's kind of cool information from xTool. They give you some information here too. So it's not, didn't want to hit that button. Obviously, so this here is this tab is where if you have files, multiple lasers running, they'll show up here. This is where they're all at. And then obviously minimize. So this is like the one aspect of XCS is your material list. So this will always be there, and you'll actually populate it and stuff like that on your own. If you can't find what you're looking for, there is a more materials. I'm not sure if I click on it, if it will stay. It should, because I still think it's XCS. And again, it just gives you that bigger list to go through more stuff, you know, filter it to what you're looking for. You want metals, to apply. Obviously, you got a whole list of, and there's actually a lot more on here than there was 3 weeks ago, I think. So whole list of stuff. So it's handy. Again, these are starting points, guys. They're not like set in stone. This is what you have to do. Play with it. This is just to get you in the ballpark and then make it your own and make it work for you. You want a darker, lighter. It's a nice thing about doing this stuff with lasers. We don't have to be tied to one thing, you know. Everybody's lasers a little different. Oh, all right. We'll go over that. Wife just showed me a little question about bringing the settings in. So in the settings, it is weird how they do this. So let's do one that's that goes on my list. Let's do some paper. So say we want this fiber paper. Click on it, and it'll say add to XCS. There used to be some different settings on how to do this, but they'll click it and you'll get this note up here. Add material to the, because what it does is there's a note up there. I wish it would stay just a little bit longer so you can actually read it. But all it's doing is telling you to have to click on it again, and now it's in the list, and now you can click on it. That sets your settings now, is what it is. So now if I don't have nothing on the paperwork, so it's not going to set it. But then if I confirmed it, now that's my material. See, now you can see fiber papers up there. So that's how they do it now. So it basically brings it into your machine, and then now you upload it to your machine. So I didn't see your other one. Hopefully that answered your question, Phil. Sorry, talking to the wife while we're doing this. So that's what that is. I have found, especially with the Ultra, in some of the metals, if you feel like something's not, you know, like a brass setting or a zinc setting is just not acting right, put the settings in and then actually change it back to unknown materials and see what your laser does. I've had some issues where it's helped. It's weird. I don't know if it's just a little tweak or a bug, but it's one of those things. It's one of the things, like I said, tips I'm going to show you. I'll say there. And then we have device settings. So this is all your laser settings. Obviously, you can change your name of your laser, you know what it is, your plug-in information. This is how you set up your Wi-Fi, firmware, all that good stuff. Device settings. I turn that back on. Flame alarm. You know, stuff that some people like, some people don't. Some people don't like the buzzers. Like I said, I turned my brightness down. So this is where I turned the fill brightness down, just because it was acting up when I was trying to do some batching. exhausting. And then if you want to export a file out, there's a couple different ways, and then we can go over that too. To the pad, you can do that. So obviously your calibration settings, and then this is one thing I like to bring up to people. So the Safety Pro, if you do have the purifier, it's not done. But like they're pre-filter and stuff, so everything starts at 100% and works its way down. So obviously my pre-filter is getting there, but so far so good. Still staying strong. Done a lot of shows, done a lot of stuff. So that's how that stuff reads. And then obviously framing. So if you say you had, if you're framing something, just hide the background. Again, this is another tip, trick, one of those things you don't know. So if you right click on here, you can hide background. If you don't want to see the background, you want to bring it back, you can just show background. So obviously, framing wise, there's a lot of information, and we're going to go over both these here. So this is where these two dots here are, for some reason, they don't specify, they don't talk about a lot, but this one's not so much, obviously, outline. We're not going to see it here, but let's do this. We'll go over that in a minute. But that's kind of the gist of that stuff. Some of the new stuff they've came out with, I showed you the one for the measurement tool. So say if I had two boxes up here, I want to know how far apart these are or something. If I go to applications, measure, create a measurement, you can just select an edge, try to keep it as straight across from each other as you can, and then it'll give you a dimension. So I'm 0.9 away. So it's definitely handy if you're trying to do some stuff inside the system. So that's what that's for. And then what else was there? The other one too, they did put rulers out. So now you can actually do rulers, which is nice. If you see at the top, I wish they would make this typable. It's not for some reason. It would make it awesome if you could go in here and double click and I could type in that. Somebody knows something about this that I don't. So you can bring two of them out. The one thing that you can do, let's see if it does this. So if I bring two of them out, so right now I don't have auto snap on. If you turn auto snap on, just Control R, and you bring one out, now you do get a dimension between everything, which is nice. So that helps do some stuff, and then also parts will actually snap when you have auto snap on. They will snap to the grid lines. So it is one of those tips, and if you want to get rid of your grid lines, you need to delete one or you can delete them all. Well, those things. That's one of the new things in the update. The other updated item was the text. So in texting, there is the option to now under this little here is like your extras. So it's already set for this. Not doing lowercase. And why I want to show you this in lowercase is because with this being highlighted, there is an option to say, hey, somebody wants all their stuff to be capital letters. This button right here will switch everything to capital letters. You got to be careful because it does still think it's lowercase. So it will print out, it'll engrave everything this way, but it is an option. I actually used it once where like, oh shoot, I actually wanted those all capital, and that worked out really great. So I didn't have to go back and switch them all. But if you want to switch it back, this is just original case. Obviously, this is your width. Yeah. So this is spacing between the letters. And then you had your gaps. So if you want to bring words closer together, stuff like that. Now, one of the other new things they did bring out in the 2.4 would be the ability to Yeah, I'll show you this one real quick. So obviously you do have the text. You can bend your text. You just gotta look for this little floater. This little guy, he'll be floating around. It's not always in the same spot. So just gotta look for it. And then the other one, I haven't highlighted or not. No. So you can split the text. I know some people asked about this early on. So what this does is it actually lets you do individual uh, letters. So now that you can do these is they're still text, but they're, you know, I can actually delete it, change it to an E, you know, wouldn't, but it's a nice thing that you can still keep it in the text. You know, I want to make this one again, another, you know, if people don't know, this is how you make your, you know, just scale, you know, again, playing with that kind of stuff. So, um, it definitely helps. I've used it a couple times already since that's come out. So now let's see if this will, yeah. So there's no way to get it back together besides going to group. And this is where grouping, I'm gonna tell everybody right now, you know, some people can argue with me about this one, but grouping is more design feature. It has nothing to do with outputting to the laser. Doesn't say when it's gonna go to the laser, if it's gonna go all at once or not. It is just for design purposes. Um, so okay, so I'll fix this one. There's one more thing I want to show you guys. Another thing that people have always asked for is the ability to fatten a letter. So they finally fixed the offset. So now we can actually offset. You can either go both sides, inner, outer. It grabs, you know, if you want to do the inners. I might not do it, but I'm going to see what it does. That one spot might not offset the inside of that E. Too big. But obviously, this will let you fatten up text if you want to. And then obviously, if you don't want the radiuses, you know, you can do a sharp corner, which is another feature that's actually very handy. So burn. Now again, there's the people that don't aware how this stuff works. There's two sets of words there now. So you know, if you want to union them together, that's what your Boolean operations are for. You know, union. You didn't want to do that. See, I make mistakes. It still happens. It's everybody does stuff, man. It's not always cut and dry. So, but you want to use subtracted overlap. I'm being a rookie about this. I gotta see something. That's why. It's because of the way these letters are. That's why it's doing that. But so yeah, we'll just fatten those letters up. You know, that's a trick that everybody likes. Um, the one other thing people ask about too is radiuses. So you can add a radius. There is a radius command on here, but it is only good for rectangle commands. But as soon as you take and cut a hole through something, so if I subtract this through here, but if I do this, actually I shouldn't have done that. Let's do this one. I'll show you. So just subtract this one. You know, this was a, now I can't add a radius to it. So it only does it on squares. It doesn't even let you do it on any other shapes. So even if you bring one of these shapes in, you know, I can't add a radius. It just doesn't know where. So unfortunately, that's where the whole order of operations is. Be able to do that kind of stuff. Again, if I'm missing questions, guys, please ask. You know, there's some stuff where I'll start rambling a little bit, but there is. I'm trying to find something that's going to be. Just trying to find a file because one of the guys asked about, you know, making stuff run faster. And it really depends on what you're doing. Obviously text, like business cards, I mean, anything. It's more the wording of something. So like right now, if I did this, engrave this on a plate, except for Baby Yoda. And this does work for both F1 and F1 Ultra. I guess I could have stayed in there. But so right now, if I ran this, let's leave it this. So I'm 160. Man. So not crazy. But if I go to process this setup, let's see what's it. So this right here, this is a nice feature. It tells you what's going on. It says, hey, something out there is at 1%. And this is where a lot of people don't understand. They go in and start clicking on stuff. Everything right here tells you what is what on your right-hand side. So you can see right here, this is what's at 1%. It's my outside border. So I just want to click on this. I just don't want to send it to the laser no more. So I got that not going to the laser. I hit process. And then it will calculate time. You just got to give it a minute. Some of them take a little longer than others. It doesn't do it on tumblers, and it won't do it on curve features. So don't wait for it on those two. But so a minute and 37 seconds. This might be set up. I don't remember if I have this set or not. So this right here, you click the 3 buttons on processing, go to auto planning, and then you go to user defined. Gives you this process screen. So now this is where you can change your 1 by 1 by layer, which we can go over a little bit too. And then if you want to start from the bottom and go to the top, and this is on every laser. You can go through and do these settings. Obviously, the smart's not on every laser, and you can't do smart on tumblers again or curved features. So, but now if I turn the smart on, just close it. Now we go to process. Now we're down. So I knocked off 30 seconds off that one. Because now all I'm doing is the letters. I'm not doing a bunch of different, there's a little bit just because of the words. And that's, so my wife just asked me about the one. I know David asked about the cross hatching. This is more the smart feature is what's going to speed up the stuff. The cross hatching does not speed it up. It will make it take a little bit longer. Cross hatching is more, especially in this laser. It is under the advanced tab here at the bottom. So sometimes depending on your screen setup, you got to scroll down to go to the advanced tab. If you go to the advanced, so you have engrave angle, and it's recommended to do like 30 degrees, 30 to, you don't want to do a full 45 because it just turns. And it depends on your materials. It really, I've noticed that too. So, but once you set this, again, you have to have it more than, I can't say that. So if I set this at 30 degrees, and then right now it's incremental. So if you have 4 passes, every pass it's going to turn 30 degrees or 15 degrees or 5 degrees, however you want to do it. So, or you can have it fixed. So every time it's always going to go 30 degrees, and it'll just does 30 degrees. But then if you turn crosshatch on, now it changes your pass to twice. It doesn't do it just once. So now it goes 1 pass one way, 1 pass the opposite way. So that's how you turn the crosshatch on in the engrave on normal flat. And again, it will. So now, like I said, if I have this on, if I go to process, it's going to take a little bit longer. Not much. Still faster. Again, that's with smart on still. So it just makes that extra pass on every letter. So it only added what, 8 seconds. So, but so yeah, those are the stuff that's definitely, it makes speeds up. And again, you can do that on the F1, the F1 Ultra. the P2 even, you know, that stuff's even, again, it's not, the smart isn't, but you still can go user define. And this is where people have the issues with like one by one, or if they want to run straight across. You know, somebody on one of the chats asked, you know, they're doing coasters. And again, check it out. I always tell people to go back and forth. It's, to me, you want to do something that's not, because obviously it's going to go the exact opposite. So if you're at 45 or 15 you can, because it's going to be more either 15 or 30 degrees, obviously. So, but 30, they'll go 60, 90, you know, they'll go around better if you're doing a bunch of passes. So, and that's where kind of like that, the one I did here, I'll show you. So like this horse and carriage, this is an emboss that I did. That took me almost an hour. I let that thing go for an hour. That's why it's as detailed as it is. So obviously nobody wants to go for an hour doing this stuff. I got a couple of them that, you know, like this one here was just a regular emboss, and it wasn't a crazy amount of. I think this one only took 10-15 minutes. You know, so again, it's just playing with the stuff. But so trying to make sure I covered everything. Layers. That's another one that people like to play with. Aren't aware of. So yeah, I'm gonna go back to home here because I think I had a file that worked for layers. Computer. Oh, let's see. Let's open a file. Again, if you guys got questions, please ask them. You know, like I said, we'll cover whatever you guys are looking for. And like I said, we'll go over the Tumbler here in a second. Uh, we had a question on one of the chats about the tumblers. So control handles. I want to show you some depth because this is where it's kind of cool with the layers you can go in there because if stuff's grouped or not grouped. I'm not sure all these files are going to come in actually. So, of course, an annotate is going to be right there. Sorry, there's like a little annotation button right over top my layered button. So this is what's nice about this stuff is that you can go in there, even if you have stuff that's really deep. I was kind of hoping there was something more. So like I said, if this is grouped, if you have stuff that's grouped, even this is what lets you go inside. That's kind of weird. Sorry, it's baffling me a little bit here. Says it's not group, but I'm not sure why I got 6 different colors. Which I don't know why. Yeah. So again, if we end up putting these all together, let's say we group this thing. So again, this is another quick alignment tool. Center. Obviously aligns everything together. Say this was grouped. Again, you can do this anything that's grouped, just so you don't have to pull stuff apart. You know, say we grouped it, now it's under one object. With this list over here now, you can actually go in here and break it up. Say, hey, I just want to mess with this one. I can turn these other ones off and hide everything else. So you don't have to break your group up. And then I can go in here, you know, Sorry, I'm learning something here for a second. It's not gonna let me do what I wanted to do. It was kind of weird. But it's still gonna union everything. Interesting. That's why. So now you can see what I did is this command up here is make a compound vector. So it pulled everything on top of each other, made it one, and then I released everything. So now everything is separate. So this is where, if you did want to go through, but now they are meshed together and they're not separate layers. So again, your best friend is the undo button. So but that was one of the things I wanted to show you guys too, was this release. So if you had something, they'd say, hey, I want to go in there and I want to make this, triangle, the cross here bigger. You can go release, vector, off of here, escape will get you out to release everything. And then you double click on stuff, it'll give you the node edit. So now this is where you can actually go in there and tweak a lot of stuff. You can go in here and just grab just those 3 leaves. If you hold shift and your arrow key, it will move them all together, up or down. So, if you want to make sure that they're square, you can get rid of other nodes. This is where the simplify, if you do want, you gotta be careful with the simplify. If you're doing something with curves, hit simplify, it'll keep getting down the bare. It's something with a radius. So say if we did, just remember hit done to get out of it. So like this thing here, if I double click, let's see if there's gonna be more on there, but not too bad. So if I hit simplify, let's see if it didn't do bad. Sometimes it's weird how the simplify works. If you got something that you've like traced and then you go to simplify it, it gets kind of funky. So be careful with that. But it just gives you that, down dirty. That's what that feature's for. The scissors tool is handy. I want to make sure to tell people though, it's not for, I don't want to hear just say, hey, I want to get rid of this line. I know this, I wouldn't do this, but it will erase a line. But problem is, if I hit done and I go back here and I still engrave this, it's still gonna engrave. It's not gonna engrave right because but it's still gonna be there. It's not, it just gives it a funky thing. So you can't just go through and delete stuff and say, I'm gonna cut this off. You got to go in and actually, cut it away. So like this, in this case, it would work probably. Actually, let's go at that. So like we want to break this off. You don't want to just go in here and use a scissor and cut this. If I cut these and this, now watch what it does. See if it goes funky on us. It's still there. It didn't delete it. That's why, like I said, you gotta be careful with how the scissor tool works. It's not meant to do that. So from this, in this instance, if you want to like erase that, undo. So what you have to do is, again, I'm a big fan of the pen tool, and you don't have to be close. This is what's nice about this. I want to get rid of that. Just put a box around it, select it, select both. Or I got both things selected, then you're subtracting. Now it's down to nothing. Now I double click. Really, I can go in here, I can just subtract. But subtract 2 though. Subtract that one. Then you can clean that up if you really want to go get fancier with it. So there's other options too for different nodes. So there's different types where it's because these all got these leaders on the ends. So this one's individually. So you have symmetrical, then independent symmetrical. So one side, but it's It moves both at the same time, and then square corner. So if you double click it, it just goes symmetrical. It doesn't always go what you want it to. I don't know. So stuff like that. So you can do a lot of note editing. And again, this is where it lets you do a lot more editing, where I gotta tell people this is why I don't dive into Lightburn. I still feel like I can do 95% of the stuff that people can do in Lightburn and XCS. It might take me a couple more steps, but I can do it one way or another. Trying to think if I miss anybody's questions. We can go and do the Tumbler. I know, I think that was David's question in the chat was about the tumblers. So to set up a tumbler, P2 settings there, but so depending on your laser you have, so with tumblers and stuff, the question was, where do I put it? How do I do this stuff? So depending if you're using the accessory or if you're using the plates, that's what these hash marks are for on the bed of your laser is for that. So I want to say the first set. Using the plate, I think it's the second to last. I want to say it's like 3 and 4. Look at this one. So I got the accessory on mine, so it is where it's on that area. So it looks like it's off. This is where the cup. Another question about setting up a logo. So advocate for the buttons. So they say to put it on that front line. I'll see if it's going to show here. Now I'll change my camera here. Flip flop cameras. See if I can get it to show up there. It's okay. I'm thinking. So you can see I got the green line. I moved that off a little bit, so my dot was on top of it. Again, it's more of a square thing, so you can keep it. Where's that? Let me switch cameras so we can see what I'm doing here. I can switch. I can switch cameras. I'm sharing. Hopefully you can see that up there. If not, here, let me stop sharing for a second. Sorry, guys. I'm like trying to think of how I want to do this for you guys. Uh, Stop sharing. That's what I want to do. Stop sharing. So we should be able to see the full. So again, once you're in the front, I mean, if I'm on the very front, you can see my level line. I am up a little bit off the center, so you can see on the screen down there. Not sure what screen you're seeing. Okay. So again, it's more for getting in line and stuff like that. So I set my lines, my settings. I'm a big perimeter fan. I do perimeters. If you're doing a cup, whatever I always tell people, whatever you put in the chuck is what you should measure your perimeter to. So that is my preference. I may be told wrong. I have not had that many issues. That's what I go by. So whatever's in the chuck is what you want to rotate. Obviously, you will have some difference when you're doing the big 40-ounce cups. So, but so I got that like 9 5/8 measurement. Running with one of the questions again, and this is where again the accessories pack, helps you figure out if you're level or not. To me, I mean that's just you can see that it's level. So, no. And then the other thing was somebody wanted to know about centering up on a like the Yeti logo. That's kind of where. So I'm centering up. You can see where I'm centered there. I put my cross line in there. This is where it's weird. I want to show you two different things. So I'm gonna play with trying to do this, show both this shared screen and so bear with me. I think I can do it. I just not positive. So refresh this camera. I have that set. We'll go to rotary. And again, that's another update. With this update, it let us you can be on both sides of the line because before you had to be only on one side of the line. And again, right here, you can see that I'm off center. And this is where again the green line comes into play. So, you know, obviously I'm a little crooked, so I go over here, I'll move this over a little bit, one way or the other, refresh my camera. Then I know I'm square to my setup. Also, pretty darn close right there. But you can mess with this chuck while what's the nice thing about it, it's free spinning, not gonna be an issue. Let's bring in the file. Again, this is where another thing you guys can do. If you have a item on one, you can copy it. I'm just gonna bring it here because we already got the things at the tumblers, so you just paste it. Um, Again, for all the machines, you always want your motor on the right hand side. And then this will be another thing I'll show you guys. It's actually quite handy. So I'm just putting my logo where I want it. Obviously, this is my logo for my business. I have my own laser business also. We all do the same things. Our end goals here. So Let's go 3 inches. Big for those. So again, this is the nice thing about placement. Now, said we had perimeter, we're at 65. So this is the other thing I want to show people that not that many people know about. I still keep seeing people ask, why is it going backwards? Why is it doing this? You hit this play button. Once you get your perimeter set, your height set, it'll show you how it's going to look. You can rotate it. And again, this will help you do full wraps also. So if you want to have something place, you know, again, once you have your perimeter of your cup, if you want to know the full wrap and where it's all going to be, I mean, you can do you just do a rectangle. The R, do rectangle. I know it's going to be height of 9.625. So I want to be in that edge of that. There. Center my line. So I'm just showing you now. If I go over here and I do this preview, this is where it gets where you might have to pull it and come down. Obviously, this is where it gets weird with the logo. But I would put full heart that this is on center. Not be an issue. Now, if you want to, you can box out a spot for that logo. So, and then what it will do. Here's what the preview will do. If I subtract this. So now if I move this down, we're just going to move all this down. So that's where, like I said, if we're doing a single cup, I would do it this way. If you're doing a full wrap, obviously it's a little more difficult to get this to right, but you can do the measurements. You can find that that's in the center and get that in the right, to get it to. Right now, if I frame this, I'm gonna hide this one. So here you guys can see the screen. So if I frame this, all right, you're not gonna see nothing because I answered my laser. When it frames, it only frames with a line. So it's gonna go back to the top. Tell me where that's gonna be at. We can see how the width of the line is what the width of my piece is gonna be. So but it should rub me almost all the way around. Now I'm going back to halfway. So again, there's ways you can play with it this way. You know, again, this is if you're doing a full wrap. And again, I've done this where you can play with it and figure out where this is at, put a box, just so you can avoid it. Because again, you can do little icons and stuff like that. But that's how you kind of get away from. And again, I know some other guys do some other classes that do that kind of stuff, but like I said, I try to keep stuff simple. I'm not trying to be elaborate on nothing. So so just let you guys do know I am doing a Zoom class next Saturday afternoon. If there's again where you guys, I got 20 people, 20 spots available, $20 a spot. Hop in. It's in the links below, in the descriptions. So the link is in there. You guys want to get into that class? Again, it's more of a one-on-one group setting where you can just ask questions. And like I said, we can go over F1s, P2s, we'll go for 2 hours and kind of just go over all kinds of stuff. So, but yeah, so, and then obviously I have a settings. Again, I'm gonna go back to this because I have settings for my stuff. Is it gonna be in this one? Probably not, because I'm not smart at the moment. Go Tumbler. I rarely go over 100, honestly, guys. I maybe a white one or a light colored, I'll go over 100, but very rarely. I did have a guy do one with me the other day. He's like, I did 100 power at 400 speed, and I did it on a cup, and it actually didn't look terrible, but it's one of those things where you kind of got to play with it. So that's where I'm telling you, Phil. And then in the new one, you don't have to put it above it. So again, like right now, if you watch me frame this, you'll see it rotate back, and it will stay in between. And I'll go just past the Yeti sign there. Let's see where I'm running. So that's the nice thing about this kind of stuff where, obviously if I'm doing a full wrap, that's why they made you do it that way. Now I can go a little bit above, a little bit below. So you don't have to be below the green line no more. And again, I don't know on the other lasers. I can't remember if the P2 does it. I don't use my P2 that much for, then we'll do that granite test too here in a second. And just see how long this is going to take. I'm curious. Shouldn't get too long. If not, we can get this running. We'll do the granite test. So 5 minutes. Not terrible. So I'm leaving. Yeah. Okay, so to save your settings, so once you get a setting set that you like, you basically just this little icon right here is your save settings. Just click it, type in what you want to do. Obviously, be as descriptive as if you can. F1, F1 Ultra, Tumbler settings. If you want to go break it down the color, you can. You got to be careful. I can't remember for the limited. You definitely got a lot more than you used to, but so yeah. Then under the user define, that's where your list is. Now, if you do have multiple lasers, like a lot of us do nowadays, if you go to manage settings, there's the full list of all your stuff. You can actually, you know, dedicate these to, let's see, like my P2 engrave here. If you click associate device, you can click just the P2s. And then once you have a P2 connected, the only time that one will show up is when you have a P2 on. It won't show up when you have an F1. I haven't gone through and cleaned mine up. That's why I'm seeing a lot more stuff. So, process. We'll get this one going. I'm gonna turn over here. Go over and look at this one. So again, I don't know if you guys can see my screen here. So even if you are running a laser, if you hit minimize, you go back to the screen. I can go back in here now. We can go over here to the Ultra or the regular F1. Go to Baby Yoda, switch. So now we're looking at the other laser there. Piece. see. So, David, when you do the tapered cup, what you need to do, and it's hard to do a little bit in the F1. I know there's a lot of places that sell the 3D printed. Uh, what it is, it's a level that because basically what you need to do is level out from the big taper of the cup to the little taper of the cup. That's what you want to get level. So you will be sitting at an angle. So you'll have like a one spot that's really close, but you want that happy in between. So it's not finding the taper on both, but you will get a little bit of distortion on that little end. Obviously, those cups, that's why I don't do a lot of them, but that's why. And some of the designs are designed that way, but not all of them are. So the ones that aren't will give you a funny look on the end. So um hopefully that answers your question, David. So I guess this isn't technically black. I thought it was black. This. So yes, in the F1 on the F1, it's getting connected here. He's been on loan to somebody, so I haven't really played with him a lot lately. Just got him back a few weeks ago. That's why I'm getting this. Uh, and I swear I connected before. So in your settings, in your device settings, look at some device settings. There is a for the IR laser. And it's usually when you're cold outside and where it's colder outside. Because again, you don't want to be working on your lasers if you're doing a show in November and it's lower than 50 degrees because your laser's not going to work right the way it should. But that's where the preheat right here, the infrared preheat. So you just click that on, and then if we're doing a image, it just helps warm that laser up so you don't have to do a bunch of passes before it gets where you want it to be. Oh wow, this elephant guy is he's like my new best friend. I've used him in a lot of demos. But and again, this is where we can show you the example of smart and not smart. This one will blow your mind how much different this is. Here, actually, I'll do this. Again, if you guys know, you can use also all the screen outside. You can use all that. It's not something that needs to be on back here, back. But yeah, you can use the whole screen. It's all workspace. Obviously, the more stuff you have on there, the more your computer is going to work. It's got to do all that stuff. So no, don't avoid the tumblers, man. They're fun to do. It's just like I said, it's just making sure that your perimeter, know you're doing perimeter or diameter. Obviously, diameter across the cup, perimeters around the cup. I feel like perimeter more accurate. I use a just a what do they call this? It's a sewing. Oh, I just dropped it. Sewing tape measure. Works great. So, like I said, it's one of those things. I always tell if you want to test on something, David, grab a can of pop, grab a can and test on a can. That way, if you mess it up, then it doesn't hurt nothing. So, because you can engrave on these too. Yes, measuring tape. So, real quick, I want to show you guys the difference in this one here. If we're just going to do this. Oh, let's see. Let's actually do stone settings here. Go here, go to stones. Let's see. Stone. It's the only stone we have, so we'll use these settings. Grave. XCS. Again, it won't let me to it. Cup just got done. See how bad it is, bro. Ain't that bad. Show you guys the cup here real quick. So and again, that's where everybody's like, oh, I gotta go 120, 200. I rarely go 120, which is probably the highest I'll ever go on engraving a cup. Um, and then obviously that needs to be cleaned off. There's probably a little residue. If you want to exactly clean and not have to clean them afterwards, that's just your time. So magic eraser, little LA awesome, wipe it off, give it to a customer. So, but can go that fast. So these things here, got the rock coaster. This one is set for I think regular. So this is regular engraving. If we did this like we normally would, if I process this one, I'm just gonna show you the time difference on this one because it's gonna blow your mind how fast this one will do it. I mean, it's 42 seconds still. That's kind of I don't see this. I don't see if it's it's printing it. So 42 seconds, still fast. Again, we can actually make it faster by combining those. So again, that's another thing I don't know if people notice. You can actually watch your engraving if you drag the slider. So you guys can see that. I don't know what you guys are seeing on your screen, so that one doesn't show. That one shows it's both. That's weird. Interesting. Huh. I'll leave it. Won't mess with it. But anyways, so now if we change this to smart, we'll go process. 10 seconds. 8 seconds. That's the difference because again, we're not wasting that printer action. It is just drawing the lines, filling in, done. So, that is why I always tell people smart. And even that you gotta be careful because you might have to change your settings because it's more focused in one area. So, especially when you're doing pendants, the people that are doing pendants and stuff, the smart makes it way better, I think. So, I was upset when we got the Ultra on it. They took it out for a little bit. They finally put it back. So, but that is the difference. Let's see what we can do on this granite. Turn this up though. Let's go. Showing both. That one's showing both. It's making me mad. Telling you, between YouTube and Zoom, I'm not sure who's doing it, but my thing says it's a split screen and it's not. Where I'm gonna watch this through the camera. I'm curious. Oh, we're already at 10:30, guys. I love this. Ramble on. Oh, that was supposed to go hit the start button first. So I do have a foot pedal hooked up, guys. That's why you don't see me reaching across over there. I have no idea. Hey, it looks like I'm seeing something. Can't see nothing. You like. Hmm. Maybe not a good example to do. I guess fuck this. Definitely gotta play with the settings on this one. Maybe not a good example. It was not there. I mean, it's there, but not really there. But we did it pretty fast, actually. I feel like it's false. So again, it's just one of those things. Playing this, I would definitely, because again, first time ever doing this, I would go through and do a test grid array. You know, again, I haven't showed people how to do that, and that's one of those things we can. You know, I feel like I need to specify people. I'm trying to break these things up because I used to do all the lasers and it took longer, and so again, if anybody got any questions they want covered, we'll go over them real quick. But if not, I'm probably gonna call it a night. So again, I am having a class. You can go through on the down below in the descriptions. Sign up for it to be next Saturday at noon. So that was blue light. We can run it again with IR laser real quick just to see. Might be got me curious. And that was only at 50 power too. So the IR laser, you should be able to see more. We're gonna bump that up a little bit. What you guys saying? I think you're not seeing only just that camera. Look bad. Ooh, I flipped it somehow. That was like the wrong direction, I think. I'll zoom in. All right, let's see. Stop framing process. So this will be the exactly. Smart. So when you turn smart on, it's for the canvas. So anytime you open a new canvas, you have to go turn smart back on. It's kind of annoying. Again, wish they would turn it on as a feature instead of having it turn on every time. So 14 seconds. Oh man, that Ireland. Oh, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, it ain't doing nothing. This is the preheating barefoot. So just tells you it preheats for about 10 seconds. And this is coated, you know, it's obviously got a sheen to it, so there's definitely coating in there. Yeah, the IR laser didn't do much. But again, this is the 2-watt IR laser. Now, if I put it on the Ultra, bet you we'll get something. Let's go back to blue light. Let's go 200. 200. Definitely feel like you're getting a better result with blue light, but not good, really. The image we're using is not the greatest thing, so yeah. Learning curve. So I would do a test grid. That's what I would do. If anyone needs to know how to do that, I can show you really quick. If you want me to. Look, my chat's behind. I think it's doable. I know if you have seen people do it. Again, it's one of those things. It's definitely the blue light's definitely giving me some better results. It's just the image I think I'm using is not the greatest. So in. We're definitely going to work on some. All right, I'll show you how to do that real quick. So again, every laser, they all do the same way. You can pick any shape. It don't have to be a square. I always do a square. Usually I do a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch, go 0.25, lock it, go 0.25. And it don't have to be. I just like trying to make it square. So another tip, again, if you're doing a square, again, rectangle, if you hold the shift button down, I didn't tell you guys earlier, it always makes everything a perfect square. Same thing with circle. You hold the shift button down, it makes it a perfect circle, line, blah, 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 so on and so on. So they'll all do that kind of stuff. So when you're doing a test, the only thing I recommend is it doesn't matter. You don't have to have material set because you're not doing it for a material. That's why you're doing the test. So, people are always like, I'm doing it on Baltic birch, so I gotta have Baltic birch set. No, you don't. You don't want to, because what happens sometimes is if you set that after you have it out, that's how people end up with the grid of all the same cutouts or all the same engravings. That's how, because it's making all these boxes turn to the same number. So again, select your box. You can do it on a score, engrave or cut. So for say we're gonna do an engrave test, you just pick engrave. These settings, your power or speed, don't mean nothing. The only one that means something in this setup is your lines per centimeter. So you can either set that to what you want to use all the time. 100 is default, obviously. But, if you're doing something on a pendant, I would maybe bump it up to 200. This is the only thing you change when you do your engravings is here. So, switch back. Let's see. But yeah, so do that, select it. Again, over to applications, material test array. You just click this. Again, it depends on what you're doing and where you're doing it at. They will vary. Obviously, we can go up to 4,000 on the F1. You can go up to 10,000 on the Ultra. But then if you're doing a tumbler, so you're doing it on a cup, it does limit it to like 400. So this will change automatically to 400. So if you set it to 4,000, it won't go that high. So I always tell people that they're doing a test, I wish they wouldn't default this to max speed, max power, minimum speed, minimum power. It should be, I don't know, like half, like 50 and 20 or something. I don't know, half power. Because that is where people catch stuff on fire, is usually when they're doing their testing. So, out there, always stay near your laser when you're doing a test. Because even myself, I'm like, this will be fine. And you don't pay attention. And so, obviously, slow. You don't want to go too slow. I mean, you're better off having it fast and then turn your power down. I never tell people, never do a test at 100%. I mean, 70, 60, I'd start there, and then you can start going up. So, but pick your power, pick your speed, and you'll learn that, 4,000 is obscenely fast. Even at 100 power, you're not going to get much. You can pick out how many rows you want. I default mine to 10 usually, but again, it depends on how much of a window you want to do. So this will come in as a group. Now, if you unselect, you can see how all these have different numbers. This is how you can test to make sure that your stuff is not going to come differently. That's what this is. All these on the side here, you can see they're all different numbers, different speeds. If you're trying to do like the color test to figure out stainless steel, just understand that there's 1,000 other squares in between, obviously this row and this row. So you get close, then you do the test again, and unfortunately. So there's a lot more range in there than what you're seeing. So don't take this 4,000 to 1,000 as being your full range. So test, and test some more. But that's how you do it. You can save them. It does have things like this one says xTool F1. So it does put that on there. If you want to change anything on here, you can. You do have to ungroup it. And you go up there and change just this one. Technically, I don't have to ungroup it. I shouldn't say that. It is grouped. If I go over here at the very bottom is all your score settings. You can just click on that and actually change just the score settings. So if I change the words, you have to ungroup it. Is there anything else that anybody direly needs to know? Cuts. I know I didn't go over a lot of the Boolean operations. Uh, I can go over them real quick. Again, I like I said, I'd rather have you guys have the information you want. It's we spend $4,000, $5,000 on these lasers, and it's always nice to know that we're making something cool with them. So why I do these. But I know it's getting late for most people, maybe early for some others. But if there's no other questions, I'm probably gonna call it a night. I got some work to do myself still. So again, we'll do this again. We'll probably do another one for an S1, kind of go over some S1 stuff in a couple weeks. But again, if you guys got any questions, I do one-on-one classes also. Or like I said, I do a discount when we do a group class. And we'll see how the group class goes. Right now it's set for P2s, but if you want to hop in and just learn stuff, I mean, like I said, we'll go over all kinds of stuff. We'll go over photos. I'll do photos. I'll do cups. I'll do, like I said, a little bit of everything. So, like I said, if you can help me out, subscribe, I appreciate it. But like it, it helps. So, alrighty. Have a good night, guys. That was so bad.